We are again, the Kelp4Less podcast with the undisputed hydro weight champion Harley Smith. I'm the organic mechanic with Kelp4Less.com. And uh, I wish everybody could hear us talk before these start because we go through quite a diverse array of topics. But going through the conversation, one thing that came up this week are all the questions we've been getting about amino acids.
Mm.
And especially from our end, we had some questions about why do you add amino acids to so many of your products? And there's a lot of reasons, and it might be helpful if we just kind of go over those reasons and explain those things a little bit and what we've seen through our experience and what we've seen through our mixing and blending and application techniques, how it's such a benefit to other nutrients. And so just to start off on that topic, I mean, we blend amino acids with our calciums. We blend amino acids with some of our trace nutrients. We blend the amino acids are in all of our most of our bloom and grow products, different percentages. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a staple addition to a lot of products that we use. And I'm sure Harley the master can kind of take it over from here, really get deep into the science and explain it. But the best way to put it in a simple, easy term is it really helps plants assimilate those other nutrients. It's it really improves uptake of certain materials. So with that being said, amino acids, I mean, we don't grow without it, and we'll just let Harley take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, in soil, it would be great because microorganisms make amino acids. They literally make digestive enzymes called proteases that break down proteins into the building blocks of proteins, which are amino acids. And they do it through enzymatic hydrolysis, those enzymes, because amino acids have chirality. They come in left and right-handed forms. You could also, we as human beings could make amino acids through acid hydrolysis or alkaline hydrolysis, break them down, the proteins, but they lose their left-handed chirality. The
Ah,
left-handed form is biologically active. The right-handed form is not biologically active. So we really need L amino acids in general. I mean, there's only one exception, that's glycine, because it only has one little hydrogen ion as a side chain, so it doesn't really have a left and right. But all the rest of the amino acids do. You want L amino acids. Um, so anyway, the reason microorganisms make amino acids is it's for their food. They need nitrogen. So they break down the proteins into amino acids, then they absorb those as a nitrogen source. And some of the leftovers go to the plant. But since plants and microorganisms have co-evolved to help each other thrive over the over the millennium, um, it has those that are making amino acids on the roots of the plants uh, eventually gave the plants a competitive advantage, not just the advantage for the microbe, the advantage for the plant. And the way it did that was by helping chelate trace elements so that they're more available to the plant right from the roots. And one special thing that's kind of hard, calcium. I always go back to calcium as king. There are two of the, we've said this many times because that's my research years ago. Two of the amino acids, glutamic acid and glycine, literally stimulate root cells to open calcium ion channels. So it's literally opening up the channels so the plant can take out more calcium. And that strengthens the plant, strengthens the vascular system, so the plant's able to take up and distribute all of the essential elements more efficiently because it's a stronger vascular system. And I could talk about that all day long. But anyway, one of the beneficial side effects of the nutrient uptake, especially the calcium, is a higher resistance to powdery mildew and to molds. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a big key. The microorganisms make them the amino acids. Amino acids aid the calcium uptake. Amino acids don't have calcium in it, but they improve the uptake of calcium,
Mm-hmm.
keep it from locking up and take it up. And if it takes up more calcium, it strengthens the cell walls. And then the cell walls are stronger, they're more resistant to mold and mildew. I'll say one last thing here before I turn it back to you, but one of the other things is the I think of calcium as the glue that glues the cell walls together. So you're strengthening the cell walls. So there's a physical barrier for the molds, but there's a secondary benefit of calcium. It's a secondary messenger, literally. The calcium that isn't sequestered in the cell walls, the plant will literally pump it, the calcium ions, out of the cytoplasm into the vacuole. Okay. If there's a hotspot, if there's mold, there's a hotspot, maybe some powdery mildew is getting a foot, getting established. The plant senses the chitin in the cell wall of the fungus, sends a signal molecule from outside of the leaf to the vacuole, opens up calcium ion channels inside the vacuole,
Hmm.
and thousands or even millions of calcium ions flow into the cytoplasm, activate a series of enzymes in the cytoplasm that creates what's called an oxidative burst, the plant's first line of defense against the fungal attack. So there's a physical barrier, and then there's a reserve barrier, secondary, that if they're under attack. Now, after that initial burst, then genes are expressed in the plant, so the plant starts making secondary metabolites called phytoalexins that fight off fungi, not just where it's under
Oh,
attack, but through the whole plant. So, wow, why? I mean, amino acids are part of the key, of the answers of nature against powdery mildew and fungi, but also just in general health and vigor of the plant. So, yeah, even in my hydroponics where I'm not feeding
mhm,
the microorganisms,
mhm.
I still use amino acids, especially those very pure ones, glutamic acid and glycine, to have a positive effect on the plant. And I've measured the effect; it's there. It's not just, oh, I think these look healthier. Well, they do, but I actually did leaf analysis in every single um, trace element, every element, even nitrogen, built up to higher levels in the tissue than the control that didn't have amino acids in the feed.
Oh, that is some deep insight. So I just want to touch on a quick topic here is so the powdery mildew that comes up quite a bit in conversation. And so we just heard Harley tell us that the addition of amino acid in your nutrient regimen can help with control of powdery mildew. And that's hard. I mean, that's hard to realize because when people, I always have powdery mildew. I always have powdery mildew. But wait, you want me to use amino acids? Well, I need to attack the powdery mildew right away. Well, you do need to, do something with the powdery mildew right away. But again, go back and prepare and look at your nutrient regimen. And if you do have issues with that every year, Harley just, I mean, you totally that topic and the way you explain it makes so much sense. I mean, you went deep into that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did some pretty intensive research on that for a while to solve that mystery, and it is a problem. Now remember, it won't kill powdery mildew.
Hmm.
It's not a fungicide in
Right.
any way. If you have it, say, "Oh, I'll add amino acids and it'll go away." No, it won't. It won't go
Hmm.
away. But it helps the the plant's natural resistance so that it doesn't get established and grow. When a powdery mildew spore lands on a leaf, it doesn't germinate in the surface water. I mean, you could rinse it off, even the spores, but when they germinate, they go down into the tissue, get to the water in the interstitial space, they get inside the tissue, and then they sporulate and spread. But if you have stronger tissue, by the time, that's instead of with more calcium pectate instead of water in the interstitial space, by the time that spore is able to reach the water to get established, it dries up and dies. So we're not killing powdery mildew. Don't think that, but it prevents it from getting established and spreading. So what I've seen, some of the trials, it reduced powdery mildew to zero because it couldn't get established and spread because of the strong calcium uptake. So yeah, I don't want to confuse the growers out there think,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that's a cure for powdery mildew. No, it helps the plant resist. So you need it before the powdery mildew gets established. And also when it just even if there's a couple of hot spots in the greenhouse, or in the grow room where the conditions weren't quite right and it got a foothold, you can help it, the plant, from contain it and keep it from spreading. So,
What
yeah.
good point. So if I take that to other areas of the industry that we work in as well, is the turf industry. There's a lot of turf that every year fungus is a big problem. Every year, all these weird things come up. Number one, it's from over application of nitrogen, but that's not here or there. But we
Well,
did some
yeah.
we did some trials just adding the amino acid to the calcium and the nitrogen applications. And one thing that stood up when we would do our test digs to look at the roots and anyway, we dig a foot square and wash off all the soil and take a look. 40% more root growth just by adding the amino acid to the calcium and the nitrogen one season, just one
Wow.
season. And so then that goes back to, strong roots, strong plant. And the the uh, the control, they still had to do fungicides almost once a month on the turf. Ours only needed one fungicide application through that entire growing season. So that is a huge, huge deal for people that care for turf and golf courses and sports turf and things like that. I mean, that's a big deal. Just the addition of
Mhm.
amino acid, that was all throughout in their program. And so uh, that's what really opened up my eyes is just wow. It's
Hmm.
the good. It's bringing the good stuff into the plants. It's helping.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because you wouldn't think of amino acids being a root stimulant in and of themselves. But here's something else about calcium, right? Being the secondary messenger. The plant manufactures the rooting hormone, indoleacetic A or indoleacetic acid, IAA, in the leaves. And then it's pumped to the new meristematic growth, the new bud development, and is pumped to the roots. And the pump that pumps auxins to the roots to tell the plant make more roots is activated by calcium. So that means it's not manufacturing the auxin, but it's sending more of that auxin to the roots, and that's going to have more root development, more root mass as an indirect secondary messenger of the calcium itself. So I'm a big fan of calcium, Brandon. To me, calcium is king.
Yeah.
Um, when I did my first experiments years ago with nutrients and hydroponics, I mean, my very first ones, like 30 years ago, I've created nutrients with missing one element only to see the effects of the deficiencies. Create it so I could see what it looks like. Well, I made one zero calcium,
Hmm.
and the negative effects showed up earlier than even the zero nitrogen did. And I
Hmm.
saw symptoms of all the nutrient deficiencies, not just calcium deficiency. Oh, by the way, calcium deficiency, it shows up in the roots first before it shows up anywhere else in the plants. It's going to show up in the roots, stubby roots, and you know why. I just told you. But because if the vascular system starts to collapse in the plant because of lack of calcium, then the plant can't take up water and nutrients properly, and it can have symptoms of any or all of the nutrient deficiencies because it can't get where it needs to go because the pipes are broken and are falling apart, collapsing.
Hmm. So that. So on this topic, it's really easy to work some amino acid into your nutrient regimen in hydro. We often tell people, a fourth of a teaspoon per reservoir gallon with with your base nutrients. And if you just, it's very affordable. That's not very much product, but it does so much. And and then go back to our test in the professional turf industry. 1 pound of amino acid per acre, into your liquid sprays or whatever, does so much. It's very affordable compared to a fungicide treatment or compared to just the extra availability you get from the nutrients you apply. It totally pays for itself time and time again because there's always a cost associated with doing more or adding, biostimulants or whatever. But if you look at the amount of the amino acid it takes to really make a difference, it's minuscule. So, I mean, just it's very affordable. Everybody should do that. It's just
Yeah.
another thing. We do this all the time. We got on these topics. Oh no, you should always add kelp. You should always add aminos. You can. It just goes on and on and on. And conjunction of those biostimulants really work in synergy with everybody else. The humics and the kelp and the amino acids and the fulvics and things like that. It really does boost the plant's health if you have a proper nutrient regimen.
Yeah. I totally agree. And there is a little difference, I would say, with from hydroponics and the
Uh-huh.
amino acids compared to the soil. The soil, you can use a wider spectrum of amino acids because they're going to feed the microorganisms. And then the microorganisms make the biostimulants, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can have a little, and they don't have to be, they need to be soluble, but they don't have that, need that pure solubility. So when I made my first biohydroponic fertilizers, when I added amino acids, I had to do biotech grade, the highest level, the highest purity of amino acids. But for soil, you don't need to have that high of purity because the microorganisms will do the job and they're there. So I just concentrate in hydroponics on glutamic acid and glycine. So just those two. Where in soil you could have 7, 10, 12, 20, 18 amino acids, and they will be it'll still be beneficial. I can't do that in hydroponics because it will they're not the rest of them aren't soluble enough. And so anyway, and I don't have to use biotech grade. I did
Mhm.
I did find there were some other grades that were really close, but I did some tests with some of the food grade out there. There's some amino acids that are animal grade, and
Mhm.
like maybe amino acids you'd use at bodybuilders. Don't you? I wouldn't use those in
Mhm.
hydroponics just because they're not soluble enough. And sometimes they have proteins and other things still and residues still in them. So there's a little bit of difference between a soil and hydroponics. Uh,
Right.
a little
Right.
more pure, a little more soluble.
Absolutely. And that's another topic too, the food grade or human consumption amino acids. And then there's the feed grade, in the agriculture community, they're blending a lot of amino acids into feed for livestock and hogs and things like that. And so, yeah, not all amino acids are equal. So make sure you know what you're buying. Make sure it's a good pure source, and make sure you just do a little bit of research. I know if you go to kelp4less.com, we have a lot of information there on amino acids, a lot of our reviews, and a lot of in our how-to and educational section on amino acids. So it's a good source. So yeah, great topic. I hope that clears up some of the answers of the questions, that we've been getting. And to go back earlier in our conversation, yeah, that powdery mildew, how you explained that, boy, that's right on. That'll make a big difference in a lot of
Mhm.
producers, um, grows and things like that. So, boy, once again, thanks for your knowledge and sharing. That's good stuff. Really good.
Yeah, you're welcome. Uh, Also about the quality, you can do your research, do your homework, make sure they're L amino acids first thing.
Mhm.
You, you know,
Hmm.
But you might want to check just in hydroponics, especially. You might want to check it yourself. Do a ball jar test. You know what that is, where you just have water. You add a little bit, like the quarter teaspoon.
Hmm.
Stir it up and see if it really dissolves, and then leave
Hmm.
it overnight, a day, maybe two, and just see, is it sticking to the edges? Is it still dissolved? Is it falling out of solution? That kind of thing. Um, I did so. I did my tests too, and when I had the technical grade, let's call it the good stuff, I was able to do as much as 65 grams per liter,
Wow.
and it stirred up, and it was still crystal clear. I went, whoa, now this I can use in hydroponics without any doubt, because I mean, I would do that much, 60 maybe milliliters in a 200 to 1 concentrate, you know. But
Hmm.
I know I'm just going to add a portion of that. I know it's going to be soluble. So do your own test. You know, do your homework, do your background, and then check it out for yourself to see what the limits of the solubility are before you start adding it to all of your plants, because you don't want to clog up emitters or clog up your system in hydro.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, there's a lot of suspect things out there on the market that are called one thing and then turns into another. So, yeah, do your research, take a look at what other customers say that use it, and make the best choice you can. And any questions, keep them coming. You can always call us at kelp4less.com, and we'll relay your messages to Harley as well. And we appreciate the questions. It kind of keeps the topics going as we move along. So
Hmm.
it works out good.
It does. Yeah, it was a good one today. Yeah, I highly if you have hard water, you're using well water, it's high in calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate. Always use amino acids with hard water, because it'll chelate the calcium, it'll keep it in the water, and it'll also stimulate the plant to take it out. So if you have hard water for plants, always add your amino acids.
All
Just
right,
one last
good.
little tip.
That is a great point. That's a great tip. Hey, tomorrow, or excuse me, next week, I won't be available.
Oh,
So we'll have to cancel next week. I'll be on the road at a conference, and but we'll catch up the week after.
okay. Sounds good to me. All right, I guess, is there anything else we want to talk about today, or are we done?
I think that's it. We got it. We got a lot of information in this one. I'll rewatch it to digest some of that that you talked about too. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, and I'll keep you posted, because there's a grower that I work with. Is someone's in my class, and he learned about amino acids, and uh, he's doing thousands of clones, and that's all he's doing is
Hmm.
doing clones, and he's working with providing clones to a university in Canada that's doing a
Hmm.
research right now on powdery mildew. So
Hmm.
he wants to show me some protocols and things, because the university is looking for strains or cultivars that are genetically resistant. And the grower, because he took my class, is saying, oh, you know what, you can also stimulate the plant's natural resistance. So they may be doing a scientific trial. He said, well, should I have them do it with kelp and aminos? And I said, no, just do aminos, because in a trial, you
Hmm.
only have one variable. So yeah, we might be able to improve the
Hmm.
results. So let's start with that. So I might have some data from a university in Canada that will support what we're saying, even if early on with clones, to make them more
Oh,
resistant. That would be
please,
cool. We can
please
do
do
it.
share. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's available, yeah, please do share. Very interesting topic. Looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you not next week. Enjoy your conference. What conference are you going to? Which one is it?
It it's in California. We're kind of presenting. We have a little presentation to do there, and so uh, it'll be fun. Uh, no, I don't want to say it on our podcast. Just uh,
Well,
it's kind of
by the time the podcast is up, the conference will be over anyway. But
that's right. And then we'll
I'm glad
talk
you're out
all
there.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
then
I'm
we'll
glad
talk
you're
all
out
about it.
there.
Yeah.
Glad you're out there spreading the word, though. Okay, I'll see you
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks, Harley. And really, the only reason I say that is because we're introducing a new product and a process. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We got to kind of keep it close to the vest for a little while. Don't want anyone stealing your idea too early. I've
that's
had that
right. Then
happen
we'll,
to me, by the way. I've had that happen to me where I didn't, where the word got out. I did a research project, including amino acids. Yeah,
yeah,
on amino acids. And the manufacturer, he had me do the project for him, but he published the report. It was funny because I was going online doing some more research on calcium amino acids. And I found, oh, here's something interesting. And I went to that site. I said, well, maybe I can learn some more. Right? And I'm going through it, reading what the site went. Wait a minute, that's me. That's my
no,
information on this commercial product that's out there. So, so I
yeah,
called them, went to the guy that had me do it. I said, did you actually put this out for another product? Did you publish my research? And he said, oh, I didn't do that. I went, yeah, you did. I said, at least give me the credit so they can know that I was the first one to make the discoveries. It doesn't matter to me that much. I mean, it isn't like I'm upset.
yeah,
It's just like, hey, come on. You know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
you know, I
No,
want
I
I,
get it.
I really want the good word. I want good results for the growers. It's all
Absolutely,
about the plant. But still, it seemed a little,
absolutely.
eh, come on. You could at
Yeah,
least say, this is a report that Harley Smith made, and you may want to try this on your own plants.
yep.
Anyway,
That's
no
happens a
problem. I
lot.
get it.
Yeah, that happens a lot. So this time we did things a little bit different. So this time we've kept it under our hat, actually filed for a patent, and now it's patent pending. So we got our
Uh-huh.
patent number, and it's doing all that. So yes, this has happened to me before at one of these conferences, and the next thing I know, everybody had this, this concoction out on the market, and so I thought, well, I'm going to be patient, do a little bit different because it truly is a game changer, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I'll let you know how all that goes.
Yeah. Hey, I think I'll say one last thing because I'm ready to sign off too. But there may be amino acid products out there are included because I know over the years the word has gotten out. You know, and I'm seeing it more and more and more out there. Um, but be careful of what claims that you make. If you say this will prevent powdery mildew just by
Oh yeah.
saying that, even though it's true, it can be proven, even though I got proof from Canada and that from a university, then all of a sudden it's not a natural biostimulant anymore. Now it's a
Mhm.
fungicide. I'll say, no, it doesn't. I'll say it does not kill powdery mildew. It is not a fungicide. But just
Mhm.
making a claim could be misconstrued by the Environmental Protection Agency. So never mind. I'll leave with that. In the land of the
Yeah, good
free,
point.
the home of the brave, you got to be careful about what you say, even if it's scientifically true. When I see you have your cat with you, say goodbye to your
Cat,
cat too.
dog, everything.
Cat, or
Yeah,
what was it, dog? Okay. All right.
yeah, and the
See you in a couple
cat.
of
The
weeks.
cat's here somewhere too.
Okay. Yeah, I think I just saw his tail. Anyway, I'll see you later.
Okay, good talking with you, Harley. See you in a
Goodbye.
couple of
Have a
weeks.
good one.
Bye.